welcome back. Shannon Corrigan is here, as well as Velma Datcheff. I want to pronounce your name right, so I have to stop and think there for a second. But y'all are representing the Ozark Humane Society, and you have brought friends, Patches and Pancake. And I understand you have a program going on now that is moving pets better. And what would that be?
It's a specific, we always need longtime fosters for dogs, but Pets on the Move is specifically for our dogs, at this time not cats, but dogs that have adoptive homes. They're already adopted out of state somewhere, and by requirement of either the rescue or the shelter that is hosting them or posting them for us, the animals have to be in a foster home, temporary foster home, for 2 weeks prior. So what Pets on the Move is just specifically for that. We need people who are willing to just take 2 weeks and foster this dog at their home, and then we pick them up. It's 2 weeks, that's it. They're done, they're gone, but that's what they need to be able to get out of here and get to their forever home. If we don't have them, they can't go.
Now, I was going to ask, what is the 2 week time period? How come that?
I think
so
probably it's really required, especially with rescues, and because if they do not follow certain protocols and they don't know where the animal comes from necessarily, because they're not just dealing with us, they're dealing with a lot of other shelters and just even private people. It's more a way of making sure that they're not in a situation where they can contract a disease or anything like that. Also, it helps the dog to be in a foster situation in a home versus a shelter environment, which is a little stressful. There's a lot, not a little stressful, a lot stressful for the dog.
It's a totally different
so
environment.
it's probably has several purposes, but mainly, for the dog, and then also once they have all their vaccinations and everything, then they're not in a multiple animal environment.
For a person that is thinking about adopting or temporarily for the 2 weeks, what's the requirement? Do they have to be with the dog 24/7, or how does that? Is there a certain requirement there?
There's an application, and we go over it with them. They can call out to the shelter and speak with Velma or Charlie. And there's an application because we don't necessarily visit the home, but we do retain the right to do that if we need to. But mainly it's so that they just have adequate places to keep the dog. Now, if it's puppies, obviously we do have puppies that are also going to go, but they're usually of an age that they've already been spayed or neutered, so they're older, but sometimes, as we know, puppies require a little bit more than adult dogs. So it's really whatever the dog would normally require in your home. It's the same thing.
And y'all have a website that is very useful to people trying to adopt animals, because you feature animals on there and they can go and specifically look at it and pick out an animal that they want.
Right.
Why don't you give us the story on Patches here? You did before the show, but
okay. Well, I don't know which way I have her facing the camera, but Patches is about, we've been told by the vet, 7, 8 years old.
Yes.
And was found on the side of the road with her eye hanging out. And so a man, I believe, picked her up and took her to the vet's office because, he didn't want to leave her standing there. So her eye did have to be removed. And then the vet contacted us to tell us the story, and we took Patches in. That's been about 2 weeks ago that she had the operation, and she's doing great. And we feel fairly certain, as you can see, she's pretty, probably was a house dog, a lap dog.
A lap dog.
But she is about 7 or 8, and she's ready to go in and be somebody's baby. She's, as you can see, when we came in here, didn't bother her a bit. She's just running around. She's totally at home. So she's special, but not really special needs, because there isn't anything. She's pretty much healed up, but she's special that she's gone through all that and has had a lot of trauma and still retained her little beautiful spirit.
Yeah.
You bet. And what about Pancake?
Pancake's very friendly. She does have lots of energy, though.
And she eats a lot.
She eats a lot. She loves her food. She's got lots of energy. I mean, somebody will have to be able to run with her and stuff, because she does have lots of energy and she loves to play.
And she sees
it would probably be
herself on a
nice
monitor
to have room in
Yes.
in a yard or even beyond that.
Where did you get Pancake?
Pancake was a stray. She came from animal control.
Oh, okay.
From the city.
From the city, and she's been there for almost a year now.
Okay.
And you have, how many dogs?
Well, we keep trying to get it down, but I think we're still running right at 190, 200.
Okay.
Just to give a reference point, because it's like, well, how it doesn't seem like we're adopting any, or the numbers stay up, and that is it's too much. But like the situation we have, a black lab. This black lab is old. She has cataracts. She was dumped at our gate one night when she had 8 or 10 puppies.
8.
Oh, wow.
So we took her in, and within 30 days, because she still had her other puppies, she had 10 more.
Oh,
So
my
right
gosh.
there, you can see how the lack of spaying and neutering
Right.
and that type of situation can take us up on our numbers just that
Yeah.
fast.
No
So
doubt.
we would have been lower and on our way to being lower, but so that's just a reference point to see how fast it
Exactly.
can go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Pets on the Move, when you transport, I mean, this program's been around for a few years where you transport them out of state.
It has, but Pets on the Move is brand new because we've just started working with rescues instead of just private adopters and shelters, and their requirements are different. And so
Okay.
Pets on the Move is a new program, but
Okay.
transport has been going on for probably 3 or 4
Yeah.
years.
And I'm sure that's helped.
It does help tremendously. 3 or 4 years ago, it was brand new, and then all the shelters and everybody got on board. So not the numbers that used to go now.
Yeah.
There's just not the need has kind of been saturated somewhat. But Pilots and Paws is a new avenue for us, as you saw in the newspaper when we were talking about. The transport companies that we use go to certain areas. They have certain routes that they go, and so they don't always go where somebody. Like the one that you saw in the newspaper article that we just did, Gracie was going to Michigan. Well, there's not a transport to Michigan. So we got hooked up with Pilots and Paws, which is an amazing organization, and they flew in and connected different flights and got her
That's cool.
to
Yeah.
Michigan. So
Wonderful.
we're looking for other options, but most of the time they are going on their way to the Northeast.
So talk about some needs.
Well, we have winter coming, so we need blankets. We need always need blankets and towels, those type of things. We need volunteers immensely. That's our biggest need, is volunteers down at our thrift shop and out at the shelter. Whether you can, we can find some way to fit you in what you can or cannot do physically, or your desire and affinity for what you do want to do. Volunteers is a huge thing, and donations to our thrift shop. Our thrift shop is what keeps the shelter going. It's one of the main. It's if it wasn't there,
Yeah.
the animals wouldn't
And
have a place to go.
the thrift shop, I mean, it's moved a while back, but it
Year
is
and a half ago.
located where?
It's located next to Liquidation Outlet at 201 East Crandall, Cause for Paws, and it's open 9 to 5:30 every day but Sundays. And you just pull up and knock on the garage door, they'll open it and take your
Yeah.
donations.
Okay.
That has to have been a great move for you. Over
really
there, too.
was.
Yeah,
It
because
really
they're
was.
busy also.
And
Yeah.
we also have an adoption cat castle in there now.
Yeah.
That has, we're getting a lot of positive feedback off. So we have a way to get cats more exposure for adoption, because cats don't take to the transport program quite like dogs do.
I'm sure
They're
that's
not quite
true.
as agreeable. So that's a way for us to also get more cats adopted too.
So if people are wanting maybe to volunteer, help, or to look at some of the pets you have down there, how can they get hold of you?
The phone number at the shelter is 741-3050. They can always stop at Cause for Paws. There's forms to fill out there for volunteers, volunteer forms, and we now have volunteer coordinator, a specific person that will be calling and dealing with the volunteers, because it can be kind of frustrating if you volunteer and it's we're so busy and all that it's
Yeah.
so we were trying to get someone just for
Right.
that, and so she would contact you pretty fast.
Okay.
For those of you who filled one out before and weren't contacted very fast, it'll be different now.
And if you're in a position where you're looking for a pet, then we encourage you to go out to the Ozark Humane Society. They have obviously many dogs and cats to choose from, and try there first.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Thank you.
for being here
Thank you
today.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Well,
And
she's
Patches
playing
and
up to the
Pink.
camera.
They're
I
both
know,
been
she's
really,
working
really
it.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
So thank you so much for having
You're
us.
welcome. You're welcome. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking with Mayor Jeff Crockett about Harrison, what happened last year, maybe what's going to happen this year. So we'll talk with him in just a couple of minutes. Stay with us.
Hang on a second.